Hi, it's David in the Stained Glass Studio. Jeannie and I have been preparing patterns that we can sell on Etsy and also on our own website, but we thought that it might be helpful for us to put together a video of how we put the patterns together. Now, this pattern that I'm going to demonstrate on comes with 12 pattern pages and this additional pattern page which shows how each of the pieces go together. At the top there is a description of what size the window should be when you get it all put together. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's how many pages have been furnished with this pattern. So, in order to start off, what we do is we start with number 1, and nothing needs to be done to number 1. Number 1 has these little gray lines that are dotted around it, and that is the way we know how the pieces go together. Now, number 2, I've already slit this side off, and I can line up the bottom line and the top line. Now, just to make sure that this is going to stay straight, I take my yardstick, I put it right up to the bottom of the paper, and I place this paper right up to it. I don't like the way that's going. Okay. You can see that's not quite up. So you line up all the lines along here. This line down here keeps everything going straight, because if you get one crooked, then you would end up with a your pattern could slope off one way or the other. We don't want that to happen. Okay, so there's 1 and 2. I can slide my, I've got a heavier ruler. I think I'm going to use it. Slit it a little bit. Come on. Now, as you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're using the gray hidden lines as the spot that you tape to. The bolder lines are the ones that are designed for you to trace your pattern. My printer was skipping a little bit. These are not supposed to be hidden lines, and they aren't on the original, so Now, as you begin to have your paper get longer than your ruler, you can simply pass the paper on over the edge of the table and then just keep on lining these up. Things don't have to be absolutely perfect, but you want to get them as close to perfect as you can to avoid crookedness. Now here finally is our last paper. Okay, now this is the top edge. Now what we can do, we won't need the ruler any longer because we've already established this straight line. So now we'll start with the next one. The first one on the bottom is number 7. Now on number 7, I only cut the top part off. And it goes right here. See, I need to come back just a slight bit. There we go. Okay, for the next one to work, I had to cut off the top, and I also had to cut off this front leading edge, just like I did on all these, so that it would fit over this piece of waste paper. So then we can line the piece up along this edge. Okay, now number 9 will slot in the same way. Number 10. See, I got that one off just slightly. But when I trace it, I'll make sure and fix those lines right up. And then number 12 finishes up the Now when you get done with yours, you'll be ready to trace it onto a full-size sheet and also your pattern board. You'll want to take this one and measure from this top line down to here, make sure that it's the 13 1/8, and this one here should be 37 1/2, or whatever your pattern says it's supposed to be. There's an 1/8 inch gap here. This is so that you'll know where the outside edge of the opening could fit to. And then this is an 1/8 inch over. This is where our nails go. You build up to this size here. And then here's an example of a window we've done. We traced, once we got this pattern finished, we traced out both a working copy of the pattern, and then down below it, we traced out all of the pattern pieces, and then we've traced them all out and built this window. It's almost complete. We've only soldered most of the front side. We still have a little bit more to go, and then it'll be done. But now that's probably the biggest size we'll be selling. Anyhow, you can see it's nice and straight. If you look at how this is lined up with the board, you can see that it's just straight on. It's got the same amount of gap all along the board, so we know that it's straight. So that when it goes into the opening in the client's home, it'll work great. And so that shows that you ought to be able to do it. Thanks for joining us in the stained glass studio. Remember, you can always go to our website. That's gsg-art.com, and find our email address and write to us with any questions that you may have. Thanks, and see you again.